Grab your spears and raise your tomahawks, Seminole fans. You're listening and watching The Warpath, the weekly collaboration between the Osceola.com and Warchant.com. My name is Nick Carlisle, staff writer for the Osceola.com. That is Matt Lasser, recruiting writer for Warchant.com. Welcome to the show and welcome to the Warpath signing day special. Are you tired, Matt Lasser? Have you had a rough couple of days? You seem a little bit sleepy. It's almost like you've had a lot going on.
It's been a pretty long week, but yesterday wasn't really much of anything, but yeah, overall a long week. I was in Thomasville. Well, this is Saturday, first Saturday Warpath edition, but I was in Thomasville yesterday morning, and then for Cam Brooks's signing ceremony, even though he already had officially signed, and then had to race over to the Moore Center to talk to Norvell about signing day, and in between that, I had barely had any service, and the Pat Surtain news drops, and one of my friends called me and goes, "What the bleep?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know what you're talking." I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know what you're talking about." Like, I just got in my car and I barely have service, so it's been a wild Friday as we're recording this.
Yeah, I'm glad that your friends had a similar reaction, because my friend texted me and I said quote, "They're smoking." And I had no context other than that. And I just sent back a question mark, and they said they just fired or dismissed Patrick Surtain Sr., which I guess that's where we should start today. Matt, is the dismissal of defensive backs coach Patrick Surtain. Maybe not necessarily a traditional topic for a recruiting-centric show, but I think it does bear mentioning, at least it bears worth talking about. Patrick Surtain, at least in the eyes of many, was considered to be one of the best recruiters, if not the best recruiter on your staff. And he is the first to go in what could be a litany of staffing changes at Florida State over the next couple of days. I guess, what was your first reaction when you were able to get some internet connection and recognize, yes, this is actually happening? What was your first reaction to the move?
I was kind of surprised. I think we both see him as one of the better recruiters on this staff, and maybe even one of the better coaches on this staff, right? Like, it's just kind of surprising in general. I'm wondering what the player reaction is, and my next thing after signing day to do was to go and start seeing what players they're retaining, and then the portal obviously in a month from now. So now it's going to kind of make that interesting when it comes to DBs. Earl Little Jr. posted on a story something from the Shrine Bowl, the East-West Shrine Bowl in the wonderful Frisco, Texas, is like, he posted that. So I assume that means he's going pro, right? So it's going to be interesting to see kind of the reaction from the players on this one. I think I'm going to wait a few days to try to do some digging around on that, because I think the knee-jerk reaction is what you're going to see throughout these tweets and these stories, that they're going to be mad because that's their coach. But a lot of times after a few days, that settles down a little bit. They talk to Norvell and not much happens, right? Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I would have to agree. And I think the timeline, especially right now, is extremely negative in terms of this decision. Did you ever play Fallout? Did you ever play Fallout 4?
No.
Okay,
no,
so there's this meme. So there's like a companionship mechanic in the game where your decisions impact your relationships with your NPC companions or whatever. And there's a way for, if you have a lot of companions in one area and you do something absolutely heinous, there's a big message that pops up on the screen that says, "Everybody disliked that." That's how I feel everybody is reacting to the news this morning that Pat Surtain has been dismissed. I think this is an incredibly tough sell in of itself, but to have this come after a season of tough sells almost feels like rage bait in a weird way. It's like if this was taken in context and moved somewhere else and said, okay, you're moving on from Patrick Surtain, you would have probably ensued, okay, maybe there was something behind the scenes. Maybe Mike and Surtain didn't have a great working relationship. Maybe he's pursuing something else. Obviously, there were rumors last year that he was pursuing another head coaching job.
He did interview, but it was for his alma mater, right?
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Or that he would have wanted to go back to the NFL. Like, I remember bracing last year for a massive influx of defensive backs into the portal because of how strong the Surtain to the NFL or to a head coaching job at his alma mater were. You take that slice of context, and now put it into this season and what the season has been and the anger and the frustration and everything that has happened from the football team and the administration over the last 3 or 4 weeks, you really can't think of a better way to start off what should be a massive sweeping change than firing who many people believe to be your best recruiter. It's very rage baity. I gotta give them credit for it, because not that they really care at this point, but that's not necessarily the first move that I would have made. It just strikes me as very, very odd. I can't say I understand it, but surely there must be something else that we don't know, or that that is driving this.
Yeah, you think there has to be something behind the scenes, right? Maybe something like you said we don't know. And also, I believe his contract expires in February, so it's
February
more
28th,
yeah. So I think it's more of a non-retainal than a firing, right? I feel like firing is the wrong word here. They're just probably not going to extend the contract and
dismissal,
whatever.
you
Yeah,
want,
like it does. I think the word fire is wrong. I don't think he was fired, quote unquote.
Yes.
But it's
letting go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because he is a good coach. Again, it's also interesting. Like we've heard that, like I've heard from things that like Kennan might be angry about it too, but he's got the tattoo. So how much? What is he looking at removal places? It's like,
oh my God.
Like it is weird timing too for it to be right after signing day. I do wonder, and I haven't gotten the chance to talk to any of the DB recruits yet. I'm still working on my Cam Brooks story from the interview, and like and trying to figure a bunch of stuff out. There's a lot of moving parts right now of things to figure out, but I am wondering if they got to tell the recruits before, if this was a surprise today.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the real question. It wouldn't have mattered which position group it was. Somebody was probably getting the axe today. We just assumed it might have been Papuchis or Tokars or anybody else named not Patrick Surtain, if we're being truly brutally honest. I don't know. I feel like this entire administration's and staff's timeline is just completely disoriented. I mean, there is so much that you could have accomplished.
Well, so is college football's, buddy. Like it's not just.
Oh, I know. It's flying the plane while building it, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of alluded to it earlier, but do you think that Surtain was the best recruiter on the staff, or do you think it's somebody else? I mean, it fluctuates, but like maybe we should say baseline most consistent in terms of delivering a really good board with a lot of really nice prospects and landing those prospects.
Yeah, and having good relationships from prior stops, right? For like the American Heritage thing was pretty big. Like, I wonder if the relationship with Brandon Bennett there, because the American Heritage stuff, if there's something there, but that might be a little past Surtain's time there at this point, right? Like, I think maybe
more like a Zay Thomas, maybe that relationship more so.
Yeah, like I think that was the last year where they knew the coach because it was like their freshman year coming up in 8th grade. I think if you look back at it, right? But it's I just wonder. You wonder how much his fingerprints are over because of stuff like that. And consistently, it's probably him or Thompson. But Thompson, you only need 1 or 2 a year for a tight end. For a DB board, you need like 5. So that's where the difference kind of comes into play. Yak's decent because he always gets a top running back no matter what. But again, that's a 1 or 2 a class thing. It's not as many as Surtain has to go out and get.
Yeah. And Tim Harris.
And Tim Harris Jr. now. Yeah. Tim Harris is definitely the rival now, but we have
if you want to maybe think about it this way, if you're worried, if you're sitting there looking at this dismissal and thinking, why would they fire one of their main coaches with connections to South Florida? Tim Harris also covers a lot of that area and has a lot of connections down there as well. So
it's almost like Evan
doubling
Cooper.
up. So does Evan Cooper. So I wouldn't worry too much necessarily about that aspect of it, of saying, okay, well, Norvell has struggled in South Florida. He's losing a huge name in terms of his recruiting staff in South Florida. There's other guys on the staff that have done a good job there as well. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, but certainly it's a tough optic. It's a tough sell. As I said earlier, dismissing a defensive back coach that played in the NFL, was obviously a high school coach for a long time down in American Heritage. He knows what he's looking at. He knows how
last
to coach.
I checked, I think his son is pretty good at football too.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Look, like I said, it's a tough sell. And like in any other situation, I think a lot of people may have been really upset about it or upset by it, but would have been able to stomach it. This coming after the season that Florida State just had, where it's just full of, I don't know,
It's
like
also just a
full
weird
strategy
first
cotton.
choice.
Like,
Yeah, it's
what's
just a
that?
weird
Yeah.
first. It's a weird
Yes.
way to start it off. Like there are a lot of other people on the staff that like you'd be like, all right, that makes a lot more sense, and now we're really kicking this off. That was not the news we were expecting this morning. Like when my friend first texted me, Surtain gone, I figured he like
Was
got a
he
new
going to the
job.
store? Like,
Yeah, like
yeah.
I was like, there's no way he's fired. Like I just figured, oh, someone hired him. That's good for him. And then no, he was dismissed.
Well, maybe not the only position coach on the move. David Johnson being rumored to be in the running for the Arkansas running back job. Significant for Florida State, obviously, in terms of the fact that he's been the running back coach for pretty much the entire majority of his time here. But he's also the recruiting coordinator, and that should have implications to the overhaul in the recruiting staff as well. What are your thoughts on him potentially leaving for that job? And is this something that I don't want to necessarily say you should be worried about moving forward in terms of fulfilling that recruiting coordinator position, but like, what are the implications of Yak moving on here?
What's interesting with you look at the room and like how close him and Chroma are, right? Like how close him and Cam Davis are. Like like he's been a good recruiter. I'm more worried about Chroma than anywhere else. Like I feel like Sawchuk, he's been here a year, wasn't really recruited by the staff as much, so that's whatever. Roydell's gone. I'm more worried about the room staying tacked with that one, if I'm being honest. Right? Is that where you first go?
Yeah, I would worry about Chroma, but my second reaction is, well, it may not be the worst thing in the world, because I think there's something to be said for Yak specifically working in Louisiana, obviously, and working in Georgia, but he doesn't really go into Florida all that much. And I think that he probably could have put more effort. I think if you're looking for a rap, the effort might not always have been there from that standpoint. I would have loved to see him go after more guys in Florida more intently, like a Derek Cooper. Not to say that they didn't go after him, but there's a lot of really, really good running backs in South Florida, and we always just seem to stay north of the border or very, very close to home, obviously, with guys like Amari Thomas and Oos and Cam Davis. So I do think that this is, if you want to characterize shaking up the staff, which is what you would characterize this coming into this week, knowing that there's going to be sweeping changes. This is one that, at least in my opinion, sucks. You worry about the shaking up of that room, but I think you understand it. And this is obviously falling into the camp of, okay, Yak's been here forever. Sometimes a change in scenery works good for both parties. So that was my reaction to it. Obviously, love Yak. Wish him well if he does go take that job at Arkansas. But I think you are valid to worry about that room.
Was Yak was with Mike at Memphis, right? And probably with Silverfield. That's where the connection is. But
he was at Memphis previously. He was on Norvell's staff in 2016 and 2017, but he was at Tennessee 2018 and 2019.
So Silverfield still would have been on the staff at that point.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So there's the connection.
Robbing one Memphis man to pay another. Curiously enough, Mike insinuating, I think he came out and said it, but it was kind of very brief. Gus Malzahn and Tony White being retained. He said that they're not expecting any changes there right now. I still feel like he didn't say it with the.
I don't think Tony White's leaving.
I don't think Tony White's leaving. I think we're really interested about Gus, but he didn't. He said that there were no changes there, but I don't know that he necessarily said it with his chest. You know what I mean?
He said, he was like, well, yeah, no comment.
Yeah,
he didn't really give a comment. Like it was, he kind of said they were going to be there, but I think Tony White will be here. I'm not really worried about that because I don't think they're firing him after a year.
No,
and I don't think he has any options to go anywhere anymore. And Gus, I feel like is going to leave or retire. I don't think he's staying.
Well, if he does retire, Matt, maybe he can go and see some franchising, some perfect franchising, maybe my perfect franchise. Maybe he can reach out to our friend Andy Ludicky with my perfect franchise. How'd you like that one?
That was good.
That was good. Hey, listen.
It was a little bit of a stretch, but it worked.
maybe Gus should talk to Andy Ludicky, sponsor of the Warpath from myperfectfranchise.net. Are you sick of your job? Maybe Gus might be sick of his job. Who knows? Are you ready to leave the corporate rat race behind? Do you want to diversify, build wealth, and or leave a legacy? Do you have a job and want a side hustle to go along with it? Well, Andy can help you. He's a franchise consultant as well as a franchise owner, and he helps people find franchises that fit their skill sets, passions, and financial requirements. His services are 100% free, and he is here to help you if you have any questions about business ownership. Andy is a massive college football fan. So whether you're a Florida State fan, Miami, Florida, Western Michigan, New Mexico State, if you're a New Mexico State Aggie who are going to be playing Florida State next season, tell them about it. Tell them that the Warpath sent you. You have a conversation with Andy about college football. Head to myperfectfranchise.net to learn more. You can call or text Andy at 404-973-9901. Seriously though, if Gus retired and he opened up a franchise,
do you think he knows about the Delta State Fighting Okra?
The Delta State Fighting Okra. That sounds like
that's
a real baseball team.
Well, it's real. I actually, there's T-shirts of it. I kind of want one, but I just looked it up, and they have an actual mascot that's an okra walking around that I hadn't seen before. Okay, this is really funny. Okay, everybody, back on track.
And anyways, no, I was going to ask you, if Gus were to retire and he were to get a franchise somewhere, what franchise would that be? What would he pick? Do you have any idea what that might be?
I'm thinking of something like what's a store that would be in a lake town? Because I know he loves to go to the lake.
Bass Pro Shops.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, I think. But yeah, I feel like he's not like I don't know if he's a fishing guy.
I don't know if he's like an angler, but like, you think, or maybe he sells kayaks on the lake somewhere, or
maybe. Yeah, I could see that,
or whatever.
I mean, I know he likes golf and going to the lake.
Okay. So
and football.
Most older white men going to the lake and golfing. Good old fashioned. One more thing to touch on before we dive into the recruiting class. I know this is supposed to be a signing day special, but all we can talk about is the recent news. And part of that is because Matt, you and Michael talked the day of signing day. You had your signing recap. So
yeah.
We don't want to re-step too hard on the conversations that were had with Aslan Hajavandi on Wednesday night. Tommy Castellanos being denied his waiver this morning or yesterday has lawyered up with the same guy that represented Xavier Lucas in that whole Miami-Wisconsin head-to-head last offseason around the same time, actually. So, hey, at least good business is good as in December if you are trying to bring on scorned football players as clients. Him being denied his waiver, is this, in my opinion, this is a prime opportunity to move on from Tommy Castellanos naturally, and you just kind of use it as an excuse to say, okay, we have no idea what your waiver eligibility is going to be. We're going to go after a starting quarterback in the transfer portal. He's going to come here. You're going to have to beat him out if you do decide to come back. That's what I would do if I were Florida State. What would you do?
I think they are going to move on from him. I do want to say it is messed up that he's not getting another year. In general, like the way it worked out, it like whether or not he was coming back to Florida State or not, the kid does deserve another year because he got messed. There's a word I want to use, but it's a family-friendly program. But he should be playing another year because of the rule change right after, and he came in for someone who's hurt because someone had already opted out. The situation is crazy, and he should get another year regardless. It is messed up that they denied the waiver. But because, the NCAA loves giving Florida State players waivers.
Specifically quarterbacks. They love it.
Yep. But yeah, I think it's become pretty clear they're going to go to the portal, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume so. I'd have to think so.
As much as I love Sperry, you can't go when this is the season that it's clearly your job's on the line. You just can't go into it with Sperry.
Well, your job, theoretically, you had the same thought going into the last season, no? Okay, your job is on the line this season. Go and find a quarterback that could be able to win you a couple of ball games. And I think we all thought that Tommy Castellanos would be able to win you a couple of more ball games than he actually did, but he just kind of self-destructed over the middle course course of that season. And sure, maybe some of it was injury related, but he just wasn't playing well. I mean, he was almost regressing, if you want to think of it that way. I'm kind of done with Tommy.
I do think they're going to move on. I would be surprised if they didn't. I just think it's run its course. But it's like, honestly, though, if Gus stayed, I wouldn't mind him coming back because that's another year in the offense, and that would be 3 years total for him in this offense, and I think that would look good. But it's like, yeah, I think it's
I don't care. The fan in me, fourth wall breaking here, the fan in me does not care. You are sitting there talking to the media after the game after losing to your rival by 20 points. By 20 points. Not only did you tell the ESPN crew that day that, oh, we're kind of nervous when we go on the road. What? You're going to admit that to an ESPN crew. Then maybe, I don't know, 18 hours later, you lose to your rival by 20 points and say that you felt like you played the best game of your career at Florida State, and you felt like you went out with a bang. Didn't this dude say that Florida State was his dream school? I'm sorry. If Florida State's your dream school and you are a Florida State fan, you are going to be pissed off that you just lost to that Florida team by 20 points. Those comments rubbed me the wrong way to the point where it's like, okay, this dude he has flipped the switch from talking smack to hype up his teammates to literally just saying whatever comes to his mouth to sound better. I don't know. The comments really irritated me. I would be moving on. Now that's the fourth wall fan break done, sponsored by me. I don't know. In terms of performance on the field, if we're going back to our rational, objective, unbiased look at things, he has not been good enough on the football field. You need somebody that's going to be able to push down the field more successfully, consistently. And I think that there are going to be a couple of quarterback options in the portal that you can go for. And hey, if Sperry beats out all of them, kudos to Sperry. I think he does have a little bit of that it factor to him. Obviously, being a Texas guy, I know that you are happy about that, but I think you need to go after a new quarterback 100%.
I think you do. I think you need a sure thing. Like, you really need a sure thing. Like, there's no way around it that you need to go spend some money. That's the truth. And I feel like they are going to spend some money in the portal. I don't know about you.
I would have to hope so. They certainly – I can't imagine that as many players as they picked up on signing day, I can't imagine that they were overly expensive. So there should be plenty of money to go.
What makes you think that?
Well, I don't have a response for that, I'm to be honest. You got me. I don't know. I just don't think a guy that his only offer was Syracuse and Georgia State. Was that the other offer? I don't think he's going to command a heavy NIL person. Yeah. I don't think he's going to have a heavy
NC
NIL
State.
purse.
Like NC State.
Okay. Well, anyways. Yeah, I can't imagine that there's going to be a whole lot of money invested in that, even though they did get a couple of nice additions on signing day. I'm going to let you take the floor for Cam Brooks because you went and saw him sign earlier today. What was the conversation with Cam like? I know you spoke to him briefly. I'm assuming that he was excited. I mean, despite all the drama that happened 11 months ago, Florida State was his dream school. Sometimes two hurt hearts find each other in the end. And I feel like that's what happened here.
Yeah, it was really cool to see just kind of everything come together. His whole family there in Florida State gear. Obviously, didn't have to go buy new stuff. And it it was what was cool about it is, like, I was wondering how the interview was going to go, asking him like how things went behind the scenes, how it all came together. And he kind of was pretty open about it right away. He was like, yeah, I texted Tony White. Now, first of all, I do want to preface it with this. Right after he decommitted, we did hear that Florida State had some contact with him, and they had stayed in touch a little bit. So there was something there. Now, did I think that would come to fruition? No, because he went and visited Tennessee. Now, that's not that he could visit Florida State. Like, he would have had to do what Stephen Moore did, and we'll get to him, who came in for like a few hours as an official visit right before the dead period. But like, realistically, it was hard to visit Florida State from when the Justin Wilcox news happened at Cal and him decommitting. Like, it was a tough thing to do. And so Yeah, but he also did say at the end of the interview that because I asked him, like, were you surprised? Like, were you surprised that this all worked out, basically? And he said no, because they actually tried to get back in his recruitment at the start of the season, but he was locked in with Cal, which is interesting. I didn't realize they had like tried to circle back there as one of the DNs. Remember when we had Gustav Henrik Raz and Chris Carbon and a bunch of other guys that popped up on that board after they missed on a lot more.
I mean,
But
I would have
anyway,
been
okay,
insulted if they didn't make that phone call. So, I mean, I'm not
they
I'm
should
not
have.
overly surprised to hear that, but continue. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you go to this week, and he basically texts Tony White. Obviously, Tennessee was involved. I heard Clemson was there as a shot, but they filled up West Virginia as well. And so he just texted Tony White early on in the week, like saying, hey, if you guys need defensive ends, like, I'll still come. And then Tony White talked to Norvell, and Norvell talked to Cam, and the rest is history. And it's that's an awesome. And I talked about it on Wednesday too. The thing of like that's one of the things that kind of seeing like that. No, I was never super close with Cam. Like I don't talk to him all the time, but like I see him and we know each other. And he's a great kid, and to see someone that happy is awesome. Like to see him actually get to live out his dream and go play for Florida State, and then it all somehow worked out is incredible. And see his family all happy, all wearing Florida State gear. Like the whole thing was awesome. The Thomas County Central community are like, we finally got one to Florida State. It took long enough, but it's like, it's just all cool to see. It's a really cool thing that he gets to come to Florida State. And I honestly think he's one of the better edge rushers they got. Would you agree with me on that?
No, absolutely. I think if you're theoretically speaking, let's say that Cam Brooks committed to Florida State in the springtime, I think everybody would have been over the moon with that signing, or not with that signing, with that commitment. To maybe have it happen now, I don't think that people are upset or down on it in any way, shape, or form. But I would argue that the impact has kind of been suppressed a little bit. It's like, okay, cool, Cam's in the class. Really,
and I think that was because of how last second it was. It felt like, right? Like it just kind of threw in there. Like I don't think that was anyone's like that's not a big deal. It's just they already had 30 kids, and it was like, oh wow,
yeah, exactly. I mean, and you feel honestly in terms of the defensive line class, I know there's a lot of trust me evaluations along that defensive line, like a Whitley Cadeau, like a Franklin Whitley, like Judah Daniels. Like there's a lot of those in that defensive line class, but I think there's a lot of good players. There's a lot of nice pieces in that defensive line class, and Cam Brooks would. Let's be honest, he's a blue chip caliber prospect, even though he may not be rated as one.
So look, here's my view on that. The only reason why he's a 3-star is because he got hurt. His sophomore year was a really good year. And that's when he was a stud and ranked very high in the early on rankings and going into the beginning of this year. His junior year, he was playing hurt most of the time, and then had the surgery. And I think what happened was he got hurt when like a lot of kids go to camps and stuff when it comes to rankings, and that's when he had the surgery, so he couldn't participate in the camps going into his senior year, and that's when the ranking falls. Whoa, look at that! And then he's had a good senior year too, fully healthy. This is a kid that literally had Kirby Smart and Dabo Sweeney banging on the door at the same time. That picture,
I remember that.
Like, dude, that doesn't happen to some like kid who's not good. Like the kid is good, really good. So I'm very, very excited about that one. That one was cool to see come to fruition, and I had fun with you telling you that it was coming to fruition through gifts.
Yeah, and I think just good for Cam in general, because I do fully believe that he was locked in with Cal. I truly believe he would be going to Cal otherwise. But a sense of regret, I think, for how that entire thing went down in the spring. I felt like that was there. So to have that come around for Cam personally, for his family, and also for Florida State to be able to get one hell of a prospect with incredible upside, I think it's a beautiful marriage in terms of how things worked out. And like I said, sometimes two hurt hearts find each other in the end. Pulling up Brooks's stats really quickly from
he has 10 and a half sacks this year, I believe.
23 total tackles, 14 and a half tackles for lost, 10 and a half sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and that's in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's in a full 10-game season.
And that's sitting out the fourth or third quarter for a lot of games because Thomas County Central was blowing a lot of people out.
Oh my God, you're not kidding. 56-7, 79-14, 55-7, 49-0. Lee County, obviously gave him a
That's
pretty
their
good
best
fight.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, wow, Thomas County absolutely blowing the doors off people. And then, of course, another defensive end added to the class via a flip from USF, Jamin Pickney, a prospect that Florida State kind of fell off with in the last few weeks as they were pursuing other guys. Obviously, you got a couple of commitments while they were looking at Pickney. Things were able to develop. Obviously, Alex Golesh going to Auburn being the main catalyst for this, but Pickney.
That the main catalyst for 2 commits you got.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Day.
Yeah. So, but Pickney, obviously a kid that had a really, really good senior season, able to get a lot of really nice tape out there. And I think he may be one that Florida State fans will come to love in terms of what his skill set is, because he's very twitchy. He's probably one of the more pure pass rushers that they have signed in this class.
Yeah, for sure. This is one that I think a lot of people recognize on film, the development and how he came on in his senior year. And this is actually genuinely a really good pickup as well. Kind of interesting that nothing blew up. Interesting that Golesh didn't try to offer him at Auburn, but it worked out well for you. As soon as Golesh went up there, they got to hit the defensive staff kind of hit the ground running. I think this is a really good pickup. The flip, saying a flip from USF doesn't look good, but this was huge. And also Norvell even basically said at the press conference, today, that they're throwing numbers at the problem when it comes to the defensive line and the edge rusher position. And this is part of that. Like, that's part of having 5 in the class, is that one has to hit, right? Like it's just a numbers game, and that's what they're starting to do. And that's part of the reason why the class is so big.
Well, you mentioned it briefly. The other signing that was caused by Golesh going to Auburn, big returns for Florida State, and I do mean that literally as I do physically. Florida
huge.
State had been searching for a offensive tackle till the very, very end, and you got a massive body in Nico Heppy, 6'7", 370 pounds, via the NFL Academy via New Zealand. So this kid is massive. I mean, he makes
the video
Terrence Knighton look small.
The film video that we were playing on the signing day live show afterwards. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. But for those who missed it,
it's just so you could tell it's like not an American video, because it's not many games. It's like him doing drills and like standing in a spot like a mugshot kind of thing. So it's funny, but like, yeah, dude, he's huge, man. Like, I think that's the biggest thing that this brings you. And obviously, like other big programs, like Auburn wanted him. Like Hugh Freeze, Auburn wanted him. And, you know, I was kind of kicking myself after I realized this. If you look at his On3 Rivals profile, the only other visit listed is to Florida State. And it was that time that they brought the big tour here over the summer, and that's when they offered him. And, you know, so, like, maybe we should have seen this coming a little bit more when he decommitted. Florida State was in contact within the hour that he decommitted, and it was just the rest is history from there, right? And so what was your reaction when you're clicking refresh at 7 a.m. to look? Because I was looking for Jalen Anderson, I believe, and there was one other that we had on our list first, and you saw that name.
Well, actually, I didn't see the name first. I saw the height and weight, and I said, "What the hell is that?" They signing a blimp? They are signing a blimp. And then I saw and I read up a little bit, and I said, "Okay, this is a good get for Florida State." I don't want to forecast and say, "Oh, this is going to be your starter in 2 to 3 years," because who knows? There's obviously the things that you're going to come to expect with an international prospect, especially one playing at that size. That size and that height, not easy to be overly mobile. Obviously, he did play a lot of rugby growing up, so that's kind of a wrinkle in everything as well. But there is the rawness of playing that position too that you're going to have to get over. But if you've been a Florida State fan, for sure. But if you've been a Florida State fan that's been banging on the door and saying, "I am tired of 6'5", 290-pound offensive tackles," or who should be interior offensive linemen, and we've got them out playing tackle, you're going to be probably a little bit excited about this. Now, the last guy that you saw that was massive hasn't exactly worked out yet, but hey, we're all about positivity, right, Matt?
I am. I think I am. I don't know about some people, but I know I am. Yeah, dude. Worst case scenario,
I can be a negative Nancy every now and again.
Worst case scenario, he takes a while to get around if you're a defensive end.
Yeah, that's very true.
right?
And
Like he's
frankly,
just
I
big.
don't know if I'm putting my hand in the dirt and I'm going to be excited to see 6'7", 370 pounds
Yeah.
in my in my face. Not the only offensive line additions. There was a couple more as well. We're going to fly through these because we've been spending a lot of time here on the Warpath. Stephen Picard Jr. flipping from Syracuse the day before signing day, and then Stephen Moore out of the JUCO ranks, decommitting from Arkansas State. He was on an official visit to Florida State the weekend before signing day. Is going to
On
end
Sunday.
up in that class. Not don't know too much about these two prospects, honestly, Matt. I think they're definitely
But
in the
Picard had
camp
been here a
of
lot.
he had been here a lot, but actually I do remember talking about him in the sense that you and I both said this is a down the road option. Well, down the road ended up coming, and they needed some
Because
more offensive
it
linemen.
was one of those to where, like, if they were going to offer, and this is why people are like, why are they offering so late? Because some of the kids, like a kid like Picard, who visits a lot, and the one that you can probably get, you wait to offer because you don't want to give him the uncommittable offer because when you give it to him, he's going to want to right away. Like, that's what this falls into. And so that's where it was. They were like, okay, well, we need another lineman because Deron Parks is gone. We're running out of options. And Picard was right there. And I thought Picard meant they weren't getting the Moore kid at a JUCO, but then they offered him as well. Only a few hours before we were set to release that Picard was committed.
The one thing that I did notice immediately about Picard's film is that he does have a mean streak in him. I love how he does finish his blocks almost every single time, exactly the way you're taught to. Go ahead.
And also, you'd rather have a 3-star who's from IMG, who's played against some of the best people in the country, best defensive linemen in the country, than like a 5-star who's against bad competition. Because it's like you at least know like he's held his own against good defensive linemen.
Well, I think what you're really trying to say is production over everything else. Production over projection.
Right, yeah. I took it a little too far with a 5-star part. But what I'm saying is another random 3-star. Like this guy, at least has played the right guys and has shown the right traits against those guys.
No, I mean, it's fair. It's fair because if you want to look at recent examples in terms of 5-star if you want to take a look at recent examples of 5-star talent that didn't work out, look at Hakeem Williams. I mean, that was a projection. That was a heavy projection. I mean, you're projecting what he was going to be. And obviously, I'm from Fort Lauderdale, so I know Stranahan High School is not exactly a talent hotbed. So it really was a projection. Sometimes it is good to have guys that have shown a lot of production, show a lot of promise. And I think that there are a lot of people on this signee list that do kind of show that, where they've played at good programs, they have good tape. Maybe not, if you're stargazing, you're not going to be impressed. And I guess we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about our final thoughts on the signing class. But if you're a stargazer, you're probably not going to be impressed. But if you're a film junkie, or if you're a recruiting junkie like Matt and I are, well, I'm a film junkie. You don't watch too much film.
I'm not a film guy.
Nope. You proclaim it and you stand by it. There are some things to be excited about here. Actually, you know what? You want to just get right into it? Final thoughts on the recruiting class. You and I can get 2 to 3 minutes apiece, kind of just ramble on what you need to, and talk about how you're feeling. Are you in your feelings about this recruiting class? Do you have feelings? Are you completely cold and heartless?
I'm tired of everyone on the message board saying 3-star Mike after every little thing I post. That's where I'm in my feelings.
Hold on. We're doing the maximize here.
That's the only thing. Is I think, like you said, the stargazing, you're not going to get it, but there's football players on this class, right? I think we could agree with that. A guy like Harad Maycock is someone who's better than a 3-star, projects out better. There's a reason why Texas wanted him late. There's a bunch of guys like that. You look at Corbin Fordham, flipped him from Ohio State. He would have been one that if we got him earlier on in the cycle, when he had committed to Ohio State, if he had committed to Florida State then originally, everybody would have been ecstatic about that commitment at that time. You keep going down the list. There's a bunch of guys like that. Again, Cam Brooks is one who I think is better than his rating. There's a lot of guys on this list who I think in general are better than their rating, and we shouldn't focus on that with this class. And it's also, again, throwing numbers at the problem, and I don't really mind that at positions in need. And linebacker, Isaiah Williams, man, has a chance to be a day one starter. And that's not that far-fetched. That is what you want them to look like. That's what they're supposed to look like. If his knee recovers okay, he will be good. And that's a position of need for Florida State. And I think Karan Maycock, I'm not going to call him a day one starter, but he has one who has a chance to be really good. He has the pedigree. Like, he's what a lot of people wanted. Alabama wanted him too. Well, this wide receiver class is really good. A lot of speed, small slot guys. Devin Carter, Jason Lopez is one everybody is excited about. There's a video of a Chaminade coach saying Jason Lopez is like the best receiver he's coached. And we all know who he coached a couple of years ago. So it's
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think this class is pretty good. I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm glad you're excited about it. This class is a very mixed bag to me. I
could see that.
It's very hard for me to be overly negative about a class that has over 30 kids that you just went 5-7. There are absolutely circumstances where you lost out on recruitments that, as Florida State, you should never lose out on. I think it doesn't take a genius to figure out who those recruitments are, who those kids are, and where they ended up going. One of them signing today still, and it's not going to be Florida State, which, by the way, they made a late money play for. And I'm almost kind of glad that they didn't, because that would have been a massively gross overpay. And that's just wasting the resources that you're injecting into your program into to essentially a promise. I think this is a Mike Norvell class unlike any other. You want a dictionary definition of a Mike Norvell class? It's underperforming at the elite positions, your offensive tackle, your defensive end, your quarterback, but excelling at positions that traditionally Florida State has been pretty good at. Defensive back, wide receiver. The defensive back and wide receiver classes are both really, really good. Obviously, the defensive back class took a hit losing Sean Johnson and Jay Timmons over the last couple of weeks. I still like Chuck Kennan a lot as a prospect. I still like Darrell Bell a lot as a prospect. Jordan Crutchfield could go either way on. I think there's a reason that they wouldn't let him in the class, even more so than the fact that there weren't any spots. I'm just not as high on him as I am others. But Florida State would make a great 7-on-7 team sometimes with the way that they recruit. Great at defensive back, great at tight end, great at wide receiver, kind of mid at the trench positions. I'm very worried about the offensive line class. I don't think that there is a surefire projectable person in the offensive line class. I don't know how the Ionadas are going to work out, or the Luke Francis. Obviously, you have a nice injection of positivity with Heppy, but there's a lot left to be desired there. That being said, I think they accomplished what they set out to do. I think in terms of being able to get playmakers at key positions, you got them. You probably have your best linebacker class ever under Mike Norvell. You got a really nice piece in Cam Brooks. You got a really nice piece in Amari Thomas in the running back room. I love the wide receiver class. I love Lopez. I love Darion, Bennett, the speed that those guys have. Devin Carter is as smooth and fluid as they come as a route runner. There are a lot of nice pieces, and getting all of these pieces while going 5-7 should be commended. The standard just needs to be higher. And that's why, I mean, it's a Mike Norvell class unlike any other, because you are sitting around that 10 to 20 range. You're going to have a lot of nice pieces, but this is also an evaluation heavy class. There's a lot of trust me, bro, going on right now. It's hard for the general public to be in trust me mode when you are fighting for your job periodically year after year and your recruiting has been subpar for most of your tenure. Maybe not even necessarily your recruiting. Your evaluations have been subpar for the last 6 years. We all know the stats. We all know how many players that have been signed out of high school by Mike Norvell have made it to the NFL. It's not a very endearing number. And with more changes coming, who knows how many more players from that 2023 and that 2024 class that were so lauded are still going to be here on this roster next year. So good thing that they signed so many players. I think they're doing themselves a favor in the portal by signing so many high school players. We talked about this last week on the show. I feel like they're doing themselves a lot of favors here. They don't have to go for depth. They're not going to have to go for a Gavin Blackwell this season in the transfer portal. I can guarantee you that.
How much did he play?
Zero.
Yeah.
He didn't play a single snap. Not a single snap, but you needed a body in a jersey. And I think at the very least, you've got a lot of bodies and a lot of jerseys with a lot of really, really good to elite level talent sprinkled all over the roster, just not at the key positions. I'm still rambling. You talk for quite a while. I'm still going here. I'm not overly sold on Jaden O'Neal. I don't like that there's not a surefire tackle prospect. I would have loved to get a Sam Rossborough in this class.
I think that was an expensive one.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Well, good thing Florida State's getting more money now, or NIL, or resources, or whatever it may be. I'm glad that they got Cam Brooks. I think that salvages a lot of the defensive line recruiting or defensive end recruiting. And I am happy that I like LaValle, I like Maycock, I like Isaiah Williams as a
this linebacker class
nucleus.
Awesome.
It's a good class. So those are my final thoughts.
So, hey, speaking of linebacker, how are you going to remember the Jaden Parrish era at Florida State?
Oh, Jesus Christ! I actually like Parrish a lot.
Okay.
I think that. There's certainly something to be said for the fact that, well, if the linebackers this year were so poor and he still wasn't seeing the field, how bad is he truly? But I liked him coming out of high school. I did. And I think he would have had an opportunity to try to push for some playing time this year. But I think both of those linebackers in that class are now gone. Parrish and Hickman Collins are both out of here. Yep. Parrish can still come back. But
North Carolina.
I liked Parrish a lot more than I liked Hickman Collins. That's for sure. Some superlatives to close out the show. We've got a couple here. Your favorite edition, Matt. Who's your favorite edition out of all these signees?
Ooh, out of all of them. You can't say like Chuck Kennon or Isaiah Williams for this one because that's too basic of an answer, right?
You can do whatever you want. I'm not gonna.
No, I'm just saying like that's like a non-ball knower answer. But that's just not like that's a non-ball knower answer.
Are you saying that you don't know ball? Are you insinuating that you don't know ball, or
no? I'm just
may not know ball.
I'm just saying it's a basic answer. Like obviously it's Chuck Kennon or Isaiah Williams, but like
you can be basic.
No, I'll go with Jason Lopez because I think he's good at.
You're a white guy in a hat from Texas. You can be basic as hell. Like I don't care. Jason Lopez.
I'm going with Jason Lopez.
I am going to go. Let's go Cam Brooks.
That's where I was getting there too. That was on top of my head.
I'm very happy for Cam. I think this is going to be a kid that maybe has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
He said that. He said he had something to prove in his interview.
Exactly. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And this is a guy that, hey, if Florida State landed him 1.5 years ago, when he was that highly touted fringe 5-star blue chip prospect, people would be losing their minds. So I'm going to go Cam Brooks. The most underrated member of the signing class, Matt.
Karan Maycock.
Oh, God, I knew you were going to go there.
There's no reason. Yeah, it makes no sense in his rating, in my opinion. But
I'll go Trey Bell.
That's a good one.
I like him as a football player. And you know that I've kind of been on the stampede over the last couple of weeks of saying Florida State needs more football players.
Which I think this class is a lot of, by the way.
Yeah. But, Bell was at Barbara Goldman for all 4 years of his high school tenure.
Things that don't happen anymore.
First blue chip. I think he's the first blue chip prospect to even come out of that high school.
Yeah, first Power 4.
Take that for what you will. Oh, first Power 4. Take that for what you will. He's a football player, dude. I love football players. So I think that, especially with all the shiny new toys that have come in the last 6 to 7 months, maybe he gets overlooked. A guy that's been committed since October or November or something like that of 2023. Maybe even earlier than that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Happy to have him in this class. I think he's a good football player. The signee that is most likely to surprise you as a casual fan.
Surprise. Where do I want to go with this one? You answer first.
Mine if you want me to go first.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I'm going to go Judah Daniels.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You take a look at this kid's film, and you see that he plays at 6'4", 265 pounds, and you see the burst that he has and that initial step that he has on the interior, you want to understand why Florida State saw him at a camp and immediately offered him, and then they needed to see some senior film because he's transitioning from offensive line to defensive line. Watch his film. Watch it. There's some damn good stuff there. You will be surprised. That's truly truly a gem finding diamond in the rough potential, at least in my opinion. So there's a lot of there's a bit of green in terms of switching positions, but I mean, it harkens back to something that Meach told me when I was talking to Meach when he first switched from offensive line to a defensive line in terms of his assistant position. Being an offensive lineman really, really helps you understand how to attack an offensive lineman. So I think there is that going for Daniels as well. I think there's the potential for him to do really, really well.
I'll go with Dalen Green. I'll go with Dalen Green because I think you go into this football player, like he's pretty hard hitting. Like his film's fun to watch with how hard hitting and how physical he is.
He is violent.
Yeah,
violent.
It's fun to watch. It's really fun to watch.
Like to the point where it's like, oh my god, that's definitely targeting. Like, he is violent. I like that. I like that pick. And that's a really nice kid. Mr. Early Playing Time. Person most likely to get early playing time, in your opinion?
Isaiah Williams, and there's no doubt about it.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's the only thing that holds it back is the injury, maybe. But like the other ones after him, Jason Lopez, Devin Carter.
I would say I was going to go Devin Carter because I think he's really, really good. But I'll take Xavier Tiller. I think that
even with that packed of a room?
Yeah, I think with Amari moving to defensive end full time, you're going to have Pittman. You're going to have Landon Thomas. I'm not entirely sure that Landon – I'm taking a guess that maybe potentially that's a portaler, potentially. But Lofton being injured, I think, sets him back. I take a look at the body composition of Xavier Tiller, 6'5", 226 pounds. Give him an offseason and see what he can do. He's versatile. I think that if Pittman were to go down, that is about as perfect as a Pittman replacement as you could probably get, potentially. So I think I would, but Devin Carter's a great shout too. Decommitment that you'd most like to have back. Now this is spanning the entire cycle. Oh God.
Ready? Just say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Jay Timmons.
Jay Timmons.
Is there any other answer?
Brady Schmeigel.
Maybe.
I don't know. Jay Timmons for sure. Like
Jay Timmons is the easiest answer.
Jay Timmons. Yeah, it is, but a quarterback means everything. You know, like a quarterback means everything. They spent so long in the first part of the year. They were so behind the 8 ball. Like
that's true because once they got the quarterback, a bunch of kids came in.
Yeah,
it was a domino.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure what Schmeigel is rated nowadays.
He's right. He's actually right. I think he's one spot above Jaden O'Neal.
So they brought him down quite a bit because he was a 4-star. I know he was a 5-star when I was at Rivals.
At one point he was, yeah.
I've watched him throw quite a bit. I think having a quarterback in your class that you could be really excited about means everything. And I just have questions about Jaden O'Neal's fit. I feel like Schmeigel would have been a better fit. I think he's probably a better talent. That obviously a lot of quarterbacks is fishing and hoping that you get one that bites. And obviously there's a lot of portaling, especially at quarterback nowadays. But I don't know.
What about Tadarius Hughes?
Papa can go.
Dude, I forgot. I'm looking at the decommit list. I forgot Seatbelt Waters was in this class at one point.
Oh, for a span of like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He said Florida State is DBU. Flip to Florida meet that and honestly, coming from an Armwood kid, the ultimate troll job.
Yeah.
The ultimate troll job.
Who
Incredible.
else is here?
Incredible.
James Carrington. Actually, not a lot of decommits in general. Really.
I think there's only like 11 decommits the entire cycle. But obviously
11, and that includes Isaiah Williams too.
Yeah.
So 10.
So I don't know. I think having a quarterback changes everything. And hold on, we're gonna take a brief thing here to look at Smeagol on 3. He's a 3-star on 3 too. How about that? ESPN has him as a 4-star.
And
I wonder if he got hurt or something.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's true. I wonder if he got hurt. Michigan commit Brady Smeagol suffers season-ending ACL injury. Well, there you go. There you go. There you go. One player cycle-wide, or I guess nationwide, that you'd most want in this class. I have my answer, if you'd like for me to go first.
Is your answer committed to Houston?
No, my answer is committed to Oklahoma. Is your answer committed to Houston?
No, but I was
That would be a
debating
good
saying
answer.
that one. I was
That would
debating
be a
saying
good
that
answer.
one. But I do like Jaden O'Neal. But wait, committed to Oklahoma. So you're going with the kid from Bishop Moore to IMG?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I watched that kid
because you don't get a lot of those types.
I watched that kid at least 4 times on the camp circuit. Yeah. At least 4.
And you don't get a lot of those kids coming from Florida either.
And I'll tell you what. Florida State was in it briefly, and then they got left off his OV list because they offered him just way too late. And
it was kind of surprising when they got back in it. Like they never felt super involved.
No, not at all. And you, from a measurable standpoint, you understand why he needed to build out more from his junior year to his senior year. He needed to build out more. Not the tallest guy in the world. I think he's only like 6'2" or 6'3", something along those lines. But oh my God, if this kid does not have a motor that doesn't turn off and the willingness to work, the coachability, that is something that I think is super important. You watch this kid turn up he was already a 4-star, a fringe 5-star, and he's still showing up at camps and competing and has an incredible motor, high effort. I would love to have somebody like that in the defensive end room. I'm so tired of edge rushers and defensive ends. James Williams, that literally has the motor of a 1976 Toyota. I'm tired of it. Give me some high effort guys.
Fair. That's a good answer.
There's a lot of players. There's a lot of players out there. You don't have to rush. We can sit here for a minute. I'm editing this week.
That's true. The easy answer is Keyshawn Henderson. That's for sure. I'll go with he's going to Florida. Groyce.
Oh, Davion?
Yeah, I really like him. And I watched him for a while because he's from my town. So I really wanted him to get in on that. Dude, by the way, speaking of people from my town, the Legend Bay is crazy. Oh.
God damn it. Oh, nice. Well done. Well done, Matt. Well done. That is some crazy. That is some crazy. All right, honestly, it's probably gonna become more and more common. Become more and more common.
Okay, anyway, I'll go with Keyshawn Henderson. That's not a knock on Jaden O'Neal or anything, because I actually do like Jaden O'Neal, and I'm really excited for him to come in here, especially even his comment to me when Norvell got retained, saying that, the NIL stuff doesn't matter. I just want to go play now. I'm sick of all the outside stuff that was going on. So I am very high on Jaden O'Neal, but Keyshawn Henderson's one of those generational prospects.
Biggest recruiting win, I think we could probably both say it's I was going to say maybe Isaiah Williams, But Jason Lopez was significant too. But I don't. You have to hap tip so much to Luke Laux for that Lopez win. I think more than people realize. So I don't know if I would even call. I don't even know if I would call it a Mike Norvell win. I feel like that's a Luke Laux win. If you want me to be 100% honest with you.
Oh yeah, he closed that one out 100%.
Yeah. So,
but it's I think Isaiah Williams is the right answer just because of how flip flop that recruitment was.
Yeah.
Right, and you somehow stopped it.
To close it out, best signed class by position. I think it's the tight end class by far.
Not wide receiver?
Maybe just to be a little bit different. I really like Tiller and I really like Fordham.
Yeah, I like them both.
Really nice tight end class.
You know what you could say? You could say the pass catchers instead of using position.
Okay. If you want to loop everybody in,
because that puts wide receivers and tight ends together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's the wide receivers. Tim Harris did a really good job this class.
Yeah.
We don't even talk about EJ White that much.
No, that's a football player.
Yeah.
Football player. I don't know. I remember saying before the season that I had a sneaky suspicion that he might fall out of the class, and that was very clearly wrong.
It did come close, though.
It did. But it's like I just don't know where Florida State sees him. And obviously he's one of those guys that you get on campus and then you figure it the heck out later.
So I think that was part of the reason, because if you look at the last Marcus Benjamin article on him, he said I think NC State was recruiting him at one position, but Florida State was keeping it. Obviously, he's more of a wide receiver. That's what they're really recruiting him as. But they are keeping it pretty open for him. He said that, Norvell has said that he could play both sides of the ball. And do you remember the first time we saw Tony White recruiting on junior days? He grabbed EJ and was trying to convince him to play defense.
Yep, I do remember that.
So, I think that, I think that there's a chance he could play both ways. And I think that's part of the reason why Florida State still won out in the end over NC State, was because he knows he could do really, they'll let him do whatever he wants here.
All right, well, that is Florida State's 2026 recruiting class. Put a pin and a needle in it. Well, technically you can't. I mean, there's normal signing day, but
they're done. We're done.
They have to be, right? They have to be.
No, they are done.
They're done. You're done. You're done.
There was that Trenton Henderson thing, but how real was that?
Considering how Florida State threw money around on signing day last year, I'd say probably truthful. I feel like it was probably real. But like I said earlier, what's better, landing Trenton Henderson or knowing that you've had to pay him an insane amount of money to land him, and then you're just, I think optically as a program, you're overpaying, and everybody knows you're overpaying. You're overpaying.
The thing with Chroma last year was that you built up to that point. He was on campus a lot. This one would have literally just been, all right, we're throwing an offer out. Let's see if we're throwing stuff at the wall. We'll see if it sticks. That was it. Because I would imagine it's for a camp over the summer, and it wasn't even him in the camp. It was his brother. He was just sitting there watching.
I would imagine it was probably a similar type of put it on the table offer that you threw to Keyshawn Henderson to make him set up an official visit for a span of 48 hours. That's probably the similar, hey, throw him a number, see what happens. At least make him reconsider. Has he signed yet today?
He's riding the lane train.
Well, Florida State was almost on the lane train. Yeah. God, I don't know how that report makes me feel, because I'm not the biggest Lane Kiffin. I'm not the biggest Lane Kiffin fan in the world.
No, I love Lane Kiffin.
Yeah,
that's pretty on brand for me.
Yeah. Yep, it is. Yep, not surprised at all. Say goodbye, Matt Lasser. We are out of here. We'll be back next Friday. Are
we be back next Friday?
Well, we have to be back next Friday because we have sponsorship. Agreements to attend to. We'll find something to talk about. We're very thankful for our sponsors here. I'll see you at the holiday party tomorrow, buddy. We'll see you next Friday. So take care. Thank you for watching The Warpath. My name's Nick Carlisle. That's Matt Lasser. See you next Friday.